where we have line one, Tom in Missouri. Tom, you're live, line one.
Hey, nice talking to you. Thank you for taking my call.
Yeah, of course.
I'll keep it very simple. I'm not. This is not going to be won in courts. It's not going to be won in that way. If we believe this is a steal, then it's the imposition of tyranny. We have an example. We've been focusing on the disputed states. We need to focus on the red states. If enough states simply, through official statements, the legislature, the governors, simply say, we recognize this as a steal, and we will not recognize President Biden, then we can actually bring it to a halt. It doesn't have to go kinetic. It doesn't have to go violent. Things happen, but it doesn't have to do that. But I don't hear people actually calling on the undisputed Trump states to do anything. I've been calling my legislators, I've been calling my state officials, but I may be the only one. If they hear from a lot of people, they would have the political will to make official statements, and then that would strengthen the legislators in the disputed states, hopefully, possibly. But we need to take this affirmative step, and it's something that people have not been willing to do, and it's something that we're going to have to do.
Okay, I'm not sure what the affirmative step is, or what are you saying?
Well, my state is Missouri. We went for Trump quite nicely.
Okay, right.
But there's never been this official statement. The governor or the legislature stands up and says, this election is being stolen by the other side. We support President Trump in opposing this steal. We will not recognize President Biden based on this election because, and then do that in conjunction with other states.
Well, isn't that?
I hesitate to mention. I got to mention Federalist 46. It doesn't have to go violent, but that is the model of the states standing up to a federal tyranny, which a Biden presidency would be imposed upon the states.
All right. Well, that's one way of looking at it. Right now, if you want to make Trump president again, you get a special session in Georgia. You get that, the whole thing, the whole fraud collapses in about 3 days. But thank you, Tom. Tom in Missouri. Let's go to Ariel in Woodstock. Ariel, you're live, line 2. Woodstock, Georgia.
Oh, hi. I didn't realize this was John. Yes, I'm calling related to your interview with Senator Ligon. My Senator, Bruce Thompson, I've emailed to him. I called. You can't even leave a message to voice your desires for the special session. So I think it might be a very good idea to have a list of senators who are pro-convening of the special session and who are either against it or just voiceless, because we have no other way of knowing where do we stand. And I'll tell you, I am a Georgia voter, very aware of things, and I'm holding my vote until the very last minute, and I will not vote on the 5th if I don't have a certainty that the vote will not be fraudulently stolen or somehow manipulated again, because we really feel like fools. We're like suckers. And this local senator, who's like maybe 12 miles from my house, doesn't even answer. So that's my complaint, and just asking you a favor, if you could list, name names. I know you said you don't really like doing it, and there may be reasons, but how else do we get things out? How else do we? That's like one of the means of pressure.
Well, Ariel, number one, thank you for the call. Number two, you're our caller of the day, because what you just said is, and of course we put our caller up on the day up on our Facebook page and also on our YouTube channel. You are the caller of the day, because what you said is a plea to everybody. You're holding your vote until the last minute, and if the legislature, if the establishment Republicans in Georgia don't do something about not stealing your vote again, you're not going to vote. And you share the view of many that we have been trying to tell the consultant class and the donors in D.C. for some time, and they just don't listen because they don't care what you say, obviously. They're tone deaf. And you're exactly right. And so I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to publish the names of the people that I know would have signed the petition, and you can go from there. How about that?
That would be wonderful. Anything that helps would be really appreciated, because we feel totally helpless and voiceless. And I went to the rally in Cumming and spoke to Burgess Owens and another gentleman from Walkaway and Jim DeMint, trying to tell him that that's what they need to do. They spend tons of money on mailing that we get every day. It makes no difference. They don't need to do that. They need to pressure our legislature, our governor. That's the job. I don't understand. They've been doing it for so many years. Why are they not? One thing is, corruption, but this is honestly on the borderline of stupidity or sabotage or something. Honestly, that's not how you would go about doing something.
Well, like you say, Ariel, it's like Corey Lewandowski was just on. He said, I can't understand why Kemp doesn't call a special session.
That's right.
There's only three reasons, right? You got to pick one that you think is right, but it really makes no sense. Certainly stupidity is up there. But look, the senators don't care. They're having a big fundraiser with them tonight in Athens, $250 a plate, kumbaya, it's all good. So it's kind of lip service. But Ariel in Woodstock, thank you, Ariel.
Thank you.
Thank you. Let's go to Patrick in Florida, line 3. Patrick, you're live.
John, how are you this morning?
Good.
You know where I stand on all this stuff.
Yes.
Just a couple of things, and I'll get off the phone. Again, when I heard Steve Bannon yesterday just say we needed a fair hearing, I was sick to my stomach. I heard some politician this morning saying, yeah, but in 2 years, we really think we can take the House. That guy's out of his mind. Because if we're not going to get a fair election now, we're never, ever going to get one, ever. And I think it's time for people to stop living in this willful ignorance that the RNC and the DNC are not the uniparty. They have the same donors paying themselves.
What did you just call that? Willful ignorance?
Willful ignorance. It's what it is. It's people have
I'm
to
sorry
stop
for laughing, Patrick.
denying what's flat in their face.
That's pretty funny.
Is that that's a unified front against us. Saying, John, I was a professional fighter for 14 years. You get in a cage with somebody, they're right in front of you. You know when somebody's punching you in the face because you both go in there with the understanding you're going to do everything humanly possible to make the other one quit.
Right.
That's what real opposition is. These people are working against us every single day in unison. They act as if they're powerless, and I'm going to tell you what Kemp is going to do. He is going to wait until Joe Biden is elected. A week after, he's going to call a special session. He's going to say, wow, if we knew there was this much fraud, we would have done something. But the next election, we're not going to use these machines, and we're not going to allow this to happen trying to be a star. These people are despicable, and they're in it together against us because they're both paid off by the same people. They don't care if they win or lose. They're getting paid anyway. People forget they run again in a couple of years and hope that everybody doesn't remember. It's what it is.
Well, for the legislator for the congressman who said, oh, we'll fix it in 2 years by taking the House, you nailed it. They're just going to steal it again. They're baking the steel into the cake and laughing their tail off. That's what they're doing. So you're never going to win again because they'll just keep stealing it like they are now because you don't do anything. Because, like you said...
How could he even make that statement, John?
It's like,
how could he make that statement?
It's an asinine statement, isn't it? It's asinine. We're going to win in 2 years. No, they're going to steal it again, and you'll never win. Unbelievable.
Ever.
Patrick, you're right, man. You're right. Thank you. Thank you, Patrick.
Thanks, John.
I didn't know you were a boxer now. See, now that changes my perspective a little bit.
Well, and if you also, I'm also a professional commodities trader. So if you ever want to get into how all this stuff is rigged and how none of it is real, we can do an entire show on that one too, my friend.
I'm sure that show is coming after the 5th, Patrick in Fort Lauderdale. Thank you. Let's get to this. Must be Fort Lauderdale Day, right, Patrick? Let's get to Stephen in Fort Lauderdale, line 2. Stephen, you're live.
How you doing? Steve Stern, I'm with the Broward Republican Executive Committee.
Thank you, Stephen.
I've made 25,000 calls for Trump during the election, 20,000 in the last election. I don't know if you saw on Fox's site today that the Georgia Secretary of State sent out 10,000 letters to people who are out of state and trying to vote. Well, if he's doing that now, why didn't he do that before?
Look at Stephen. Turn your radio down, please.
Sure. and trying to vote. Well, if he's doing that now, why didn't he do that before?
Okay,
Sorry.
thank you. So what did Raffensperger do today?
He sent out a letter yesterday to 8,000 individuals who have moved out of Georgia but requested absentee ballots and told them that it's a $100,000 fine and 10 years in prison. So if he did that now, is he admitting that the last election that the same thing happened?
Yes.
That's the first thing.
Yes.
Second
The
thing
answer to
is-
that is yes, and why didn't he do it the last time? And if he's got 8,000 people that voted from out of state that are illegal, those votes shouldn't be counted. So, yes, the answer to all
We
that is
agree,
yes.
So the next thing we need to do is, because I made phone calls and not a lot of people know how to make these phone calls, my suggestion is we take one state, both you and the War Room. If it's Georgia, we have 72 million Trump supporters. We flood the phones with one state. We pick on Georgia. We get everybody to start calling, both Raffensperger, the governor, whoever. But maybe you and the War Room tells us who to do it and tells everybody out there, because they're waiting for instructions. Every day we hear the same thing. The same thing is on when you're on Bannon's program. We go over it every day, but now we got to go into action. 72 million people calling the phones. Let's say we get 36 million, half of them, because half of them won't do anything. What I found out is that there's only a certain amount of people that are going to do anything, and those are the people that we got to get on. I've let everybody know about your program. I probably got 10,000 people on Bannon's program from people that have called.
Stephen, I love your suggestion. We need to all focus on Georgia, because now we have a written report of the fraud that came out from Senator Ligon's committee. That committee is vested. They're official. We have an official report, and there you have it. I mean, we need to do. Amy from Atlanta just called in and said that's what I said at 4 a.m. today when she texted me. We need 72 million people to be calling Georgia. Let's get the numbers.
But when you're on Bannon's program, why don't you
it.
have Bannon say that? Because everybody watches Bannon and waiting for him to give the word.
I'll be on
and then
it.
give a phone number, but also tell
today.
Bannon to put it up on the. He tells everybody about it, but he doesn't put it on the screen. People have to see it on the screen. Leave it on there for a few minutes so everybody could jot it down. We can get a concerted effort of, let's say it's 100,000 people calling. Plus, anybody who doesn't vote is crazy, because if we don't vote, we lose the election. If we do vote and we fight for fairness, which looks like if Raffensperger is doing this letter today, he knows he's got a guilty conscience. You know what? When people sleep and they wake up in the middle of the night because they're guilty, sooner or later they start to turn. So what you're doing is fantastic. What Bannon's doing is fantastic. We just need more people.
All right, I got to roll. Thank you, Stephen. Let's get to Floan in Atlanta, line 3. You're live.
Hi, I have a question about Senator Ligon's report. I noticed that not all of the members of the Judiciary Committee were listed on the report, and he's the only one that signed it. However, there were 2 Democrats whose names appeared at the top of the report. And I was just wondering, does that mean we're starting to get bipartisan support?
No, they were. This was not attended by the full Judiciary Committee. This was a subcommittee. This was kind of a rogue conference. 2 Democratic senators that were on the subcommittee showed up for it. Representative Parent, I believe, and another one. But no, there's no bipartisan for it. In fact, if you were at that hearing, Flown, like me, the Democrats that were there completely harassed the witnesses and asked Senator Parent asked about the dumbest question that I've heard ever in a public format. When the video came out, she said, "Oh, this has already been debunked," and Senator Bill Gooch from Dahlonega looked at her and said, "Excuse me, Senator Parent, we got this at midnight. It's 10 a.m. That's 10 hours. It didn't get debunked. You've never seen it. That's just a Democrat talking point that they emailed you from the DNC at 9 a.m. today. So knock it off." That's what she was told. So, no, there's no bipartisan backing here at all. But thank you, Flo. Anything else?
Thanks. Nope, that's it.
Okay, Flo, thank you. Let's get to Jack in Cleveland, Ohio. Jack, you're live, line 1.
Hello, good morning. Yeah, I really appreciate you guys being a light in this dark world that we're in right now. I basically had a question. I basically had a question about what the game plan is. I mean, at this point, no courts want to take anything. Seems like the whole system is against us.
Yep.
What chance do we actually have? I mean, against this. I know they're flirting. People are talking about martial law and stuff like that.
No, we're not going to do that. There'll be none of that. That doesn't make any sense. I'm 100% opposed to that or insurrection acts or anything else. This has got to be done through the court system. One of these judges is going to eventually take it. But the best opportunity you have is to get a special session in Georgia. You have the votes. You have it. The evidence comes out. It'll all be official. They have to cover it. The other states will then fall like a house of cards. That's the pathway. That's it. Other than that, you got to hope that some judge somewhere takes the case and we get the evidence out. Other than that, those other options are not. They're just not real, and it doesn't matter anyway because the president's not going to do that. So a waste of time to even talk about it. But there is a pathway, and the pathway runs through Atlanta. Thank you, Jack, in Cleveland. By the way, Jack, I'm a Titans fan, and we're going to meet again in the playoffs. It's going to be a little bit different than it was in the last game with the Browns, Jack. Just saying. Things change. Thank you, Jack. Line 1. Let's get to Kim in Backridge, Georgia. Line 4. Kim, you're live.
Hi, good morning. I just wanted to let you know that today at 1 o'clock, the Henry County Elections Board is having a Zoom meeting because our county is fighting back and we're holding our elections officials to the letter of the law. Absentee ballot envelopes were supposed to be open starting yesterday, but we were successful in getting that stopped because we had proof that they were violating the signature verification laws just like they did the November 3rd election. And we know when those ballot envelopes are opened, the genie is out of the bottle. You can't put it back. So I think everybody should pay attention to their local officials. They should be monitoring. They should be watching. And we're fighting back.
And so, Kim, you're fighting back in Henry County, Georgia. What did you do? Did you guys file an injunction? What did you do to get the absentee ballots not opened and separated from the envelopes?
Well, we were making verbal comments to the Secretary of State, to anybody who would listen in the Georgia GOP, and I really credit Mr. Schaefer. He is leading the way. He is being a hero. We've been crying out for a hero here in Georgia, and he's done a really good job. So we contacted the Secretary of State. Finally, an investigator we don't know what happened, but first thing Monday morning, the monitors were turned away from ballot opening, and they said they had to redo their process for verifying signatures. Now, this should have been done in the November 3rd election, but it wasn't. So thankfully for this runoff, we finally got somebody to listen to us, and they're redoing the signature verification all over again according to the law.
I tell you, outstanding work, Kim and Backridge. Let's get to Nancy in Gulf Breeze, Florida. Nancy, you're live on line 1.
Hi, John. I just was wondering, the Ruby Freeman story, which doesn't seem to get a lot of big attention, and I kind of didn't understand why. I know if you know who this lady is, I think she was recently arrested in Georgia she was one of the ladies that had to do with the suitcases and the ballots being pulled under the table.
She never got arrested. It's absolutely fake news, right?
Really, she didn't get arrested?
No, that didn't happen. Okay, it's just fake.
Okay, because
there's fake news on two sides. That's never been verified. If that was the case, you'd have a mugshot and things of that nature. Maybe somebody questioned her, but that just didn't happen.
Because initially she had an Instagram post where, in her own words, she admits that in her own voice that Donald Trump actually won the election. And then they were instructed to go to Plan B, and Plan B is when they started counting the other ballots, and that she actually spoke to the Dominion people, and they told her, Plan B had worked all over the country. And that was an Instagram post that she said she was going to have to take down so she didn't get caught. But other people actually found that and saved it. So I just thought that sounded real.
Well, I think that if there's a special session, a hearing, that she'll be brought in. Hopefully, they'll have subpoena power and they can get her to testify. But there's a lot of things out there that you read that people post on these various sites to get what's called clickbait. So you click on it, they get money from advertisers. So that's kind of stuff you have to be careful. There's no evidence that she was apprehended, but obviously she's got something to say, and hopefully we can get there soon. But Nancy, thank you, line one. Let's get to Chris in Australia, line two. Chris, you're live.
Good morning, Mr. Fredericks. Calling all the way from Australia here.
Thank you, sir.
And I've just got to tell you something.
Yes.
You look great when you come on Steve Bannon's War Room and give your daily report, except that a few days ago you looked like you'd been bombed badly.
Did I look tired?
Shattered was the word, with the coffee cup in the hand. But listen, seriously, I have to ask you a simple question. I think your folks listening to you need to understand this. We in Australia are really concerned about the what's been going on in the USA. Not because of our alliance or long friendship, but the way things have panned out in your election. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can see there's been major fraud on a grand scale. And I've been talking to some of my friends in Asia, business partners and things like that, and they just keep saying, what the hell is going on in the USA? I mean, don't they understand? They're looking like a third-rate banana republic right now. With what's going on and all the shenanigans and all the secretaries of state playing games. Mm-hmm. I think one guy from Philippines was saying to me, he said, hey, we had a few election problems a few years back, and we had the Americans here telling us how things are going. But now, if they come back to us, we're just going to flip them the bird and just tell them to go and fix up their elections first. So it's that kind of reputation. So, I mean, seriously, you guys have got to lean on these politicians you've got there and really, give them the old pineapple routine and tell them they've got to stand.
We need to give them, you know what? I'm going to steal that. We need to give them the old pineapple routine. Chris in Australia.
Well, you can ask them to choose. Is it going to be the small, medium, large, oh my golly, or the mind blower?
Oh, God, Chris. Thank you. The mind blower pineapple. Thank you, Chris. And thanks for noticing the other day when I was on Bannon and I didn't get any sleep and I looked exhausted, so I had the cup of coffee. Thank you. I think they should get the mind blower pineapple, Chris.